This past year has been very difficult for many of us in this room as we lived through a pandemic for the first time in our lifetimes. And many of us able from work from home and had virtual meetings. We did on Teams, did on Zoom. So we all got, a lot of us got used to that. And even on worship online in the early in the pandemic. And we ordered our food through Uber Eats, stayed socially distanced as best as our ability. But we have a group in this room today that couldn't do any of this. They were the front lines of this pandemic, and they responded to medical emergencies. They kept the peace. They put out house fires, and all while we were trying to watch the news to learn about the pandemic. This is my favorite meeting every year. I have a special place for first responders in my heart. I began my career in law enforcement and know the difficult job that each and every one of the first responders in this room have. And they deserve our honor every year, but this year more than ever. And so that's why we want to, we thank you guys for coming to support these folks. And when I'm going to turn it over now to our vocational chair, Alex Brown, to continue the program.
Thank you. Man, it feels good to be in here. Thank you for coming today. We're excited the fried chicken is back as well, and to meet in person. So 2020, I don't know where to start or what to say. Some have said that 2020 was the most wild decade of their life. It sure felt like a decade to many of us in this room. And I can imagine, as you think about the comfort of the city and as this wonderful club, imagine what it felt like for our first responders. Our city lost nearly 300 people to COVID. And the brunt of those calls and the brunt of responses were from the men and women that we have in here today and their teammates. And I can't thank them enough. I think the club thanks them from the bottom of their heart. And when I thought about this speech a little bit, I drove my spouse down. Of course, it's always at like 5 a.m. to Atlanta yesterday or 2 days ago for a flight. And the news was talking about the stories in Buckhead, about the crime in Buckhead, about the way that the police were feeling and the first responders were feeling from their community. And it hit me how lucky we are to be in this community. I'll talk a little bit about what's happening in Buckhead, but it hit me very deeply to think that we don't have the problems that Atlanta has. We're not perfect, but our first responders are loved and cherished by this community and this club. And it almost feels like there's two Americas today. And Senator Payne did a great job in the prayer. There's the America that most of us in the club are from, where we work remotely, many of us. We order online from an Amazon worker that we don't know his or her name. They pull up and drop it off. We do Zoom calls, and we did this for a long time. We rightfully, we thought, protected our families and pulled out of society for a little while. But our educators and our first responders and others, they went to their work every day. And I don't know that I can put in words enough gratitude for what you all have done. The difference, of course, with first responders and educators, especially first responders, is that they never shut down. They're on call all the time. And I think it's worth noting the families of the first responders that are here, because you ultimately are comforting that loved one when they come home. And I said this 2 years ago, but I don't think any of us predicted it to be the gravity of this 2020. We see you, we thank you, and we love you. We really love you. I know that sounds emotional, but for me, in 2020, I picked up my father who had a heart attack and was treated at the Cleveland Clinic in Ohio. This was right when COVID hit. The hotel was actually going to kick me out. They said, there's no one staying here. And I said, well, I'm staying. And I drove him down here after 5 weeks of rehab, and they didn't give him the best prognosis, but they thought he'd make it. And the second night he was here, he fell, and he flatlined. And I tried to lift him up, but I couldn't, and I panicked. I got him up. My spouse called 911. The rest is a blur. The 911 first responders on the phone were incredible. They were calm. They told us what to do. They walked us through the situation, and they showed up and they saved his life. Sorry. My dad flatlined in front of me 8 times. Essentially, he was dead. These guys walk into this these men and women walk into this every day. Sarah, my spouse, commented, she said, you know, I think we've aged about 6 years in 6 weeks during this time that my dad was recovering, and we'd go visit him in the hospital day in, day out with our triple masks on. And I said, yeah, I think we have aged that much. And I wondered then, and I still wonder now, how you guys do it. How do you walk into that level of stress every day, each and every day, and take care of people you don't even know? So, closer to home. It's a tale of 2 cities. If you go down to Buckhead today, Buckhead has experienced a 40% increase in homicides, a 39% spike in robberies, 64% spike in car thefts. Buckhead has a median income of $140,000, 86,000 residents. And they are on the precipice of voting to leave the city. Why? Because the residents don't feel like they can get a first responder to them. Last year, 2020, 341 officers left the Atlanta Police Department. Only 116 signed up. That's what we call a mass exodus. One retired doctor in Buckhead said, there is a saying in our neighborhood, if you see a policeman, you should stop and offer directions because clearly he is lost. This is in Buckhead. This is from the paper 3 days ago. How is it then that our city of 33,000 with 1/5 the income per capita, being a very diverse, culturally and racially diverse city with much less income, can have faster response times? Our violent crime is a tiny fraction of what Buckhead has. I believe the answer is looking us right in the face. We're not going to follow the path of Buckhead or the New Yorkers. I would submit today that we break bread with our first responders. In fact, this club is full of first responders. We sit next to them at church. We sit next to them at ball games. They are our friends. We make pancakes together. We run a track meet together so that coaches can see the talent out there and get a break from coaching and actually recruit. And that's done oftentimes with first responders as well. The work they do and the risk they take, the services that they provide are not only noticed, but appreciated in this club and in this community. So when the media portrays the first responders, especially the police and sheriff and others, as something that they're not, we in Dalton know they're our friends. We, as they say in the military vernacular, have your 6. We stand to increase funding for you when they're trying to defund the police. While we understand that police reform is needed sometimes, we want to do it carefully and diligently and with your expertise. So let me say it very clearly. You are an extension of the Rotary family. In Rotary, we always say service above self. You guys are the living embodiment of service above self. I will quote only one quote, and this stood on my 6th grade wall, probably wouldn't be allowed today in our cancel culture. But courage is being scared to death, but saddling up anyway. That's John Wayne. So I would like to invite Whitfield County Sheriff Scott Chitwood up to announce his winner.
Let me start, as always, just to say thank you to the Rotary Club. Y'all are so kind to do this every year and to recognize the first responders and the recipients and the work that is done. We oftentimes don't get favorable publicity, but thank you for this program every year. Many of you probably know, some of you may not realize per se, that one of the duties, constitutional duties of the office of sheriff is for me, or the office, I don't want to say me, the office of the sheriff is to be custodian of the jail. You have to run the jail. That's one of our constitutional duties by the state of Georgia. That within itself is a full-time job. We run a adult daycare, for lack of better words, if you can appreciate that. But running a jail is truly a full-time job. So this year, we kind of stepped out of the box and didn't necessarily look at a certified officer that works out on the street like we commonly refer to, and they do great work. But whenever I presented it to my administrative staff, the first name that popped up from the detention staff was Miss Loretta Walker, and she is going to be our recipient today. But just to kind of share a little bit about her, she's been with us for about 18 years. Started in the detention, which is common for our employees, but the last 10 years, she has been our grievance officer that handles grievances in the jail. Now, to deal with the inmates' families, all the complaints, everything under the sun that you can imagine, the money, the commissary, lack of food, not good food, fights, comes through to Miss Loretta. Okay, she is constantly settling the disputes, calming the peace in the back of the jail. Roughly, we average 420 inmates, roughly. So those are her children. I don't know how they feel towards her, but I know we love her. But she settles all that. She deals with the legal aspect. She can monitor the communication, all the videos and stuff that we can pull back, dealing everything that we have in the jail. This is what Loretta does. So whenever we presented it to our administrative staff, Captain Lynch, who is the captain over the jail division, he immediately said, we want to nominate Loretta Walker. And in his words, we are very lucky to have her. So I'll have to ditto that and say, Loretta, we are very lucky to have you. If you will come forward. As she comes, I know the Rotary always recognizes birthdays and anniversaries. So I understand tomorrow is Loretta and her husband Rodney that's here with us is their 32nd wedding anniversary tomorrow. So a good gift. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you, Loretta. Congratulations. We'd like to bring up now, Dalton PD's Assistant Chief Chris Crossan for his nominee.
All right. I'd like to echo kind of what the sheriff said. I want to thank you guys for this program every year. It's something that we really enjoy being able to take part in and participate in, and are grateful that to receive the recognition. You know, the words that were spoken before when you talk about why this community has what it has. I think I get to tell people a lot of times when they ask me, well, how are they treating you? Because I get asked a lot when I go around and get to talking. I tell people, you know, there are very high standards set in this community by some very forward-looking people, and it's been that way for a long time. So when you begin with the end in mind, then I have a direction to work toward. So I know what the expectations of the community are because we ask. And I think that's the way our first responders act. I know all the chiefs and the sheriff certainly have their hand on the pulse of the community because we're in civic clubs and we're out there and we're talking. So we know what the standards of the community are, and we strive, you know, we take time and we make a conscious effort to try and reach those. So we put things in place to make sure that our community is getting the service that they're looking for. And I think that's where some places miss the mark. They kind of think within their own organization of what they want to see happen. And they tell people what their problems are, and then they go try to solve them. And then later they kind of start figuring out that's not what people were really looking for. So I know all the men and women in this room who are first responders know what the goals of their organization are, and those goals are formed by what our community wants. And part of that is you guys in this room. I know there's a lot of leaders in this room, a lot of people that I really look up to, that I've known for a long time. And again, want to thank you very much. Today, I'm here to recognize actually one of your own, Captain Shaun Scott, who's a member of this club, will be our recipient this year of the award. And I want to tell you, in the past, when I've had the opportunity to kind of look through and decide who we were going to nominate for this award, we've had an action stand out maybe that we wanted to recognize. And sometimes you want to look at a career and what that career has meant to an organization and to a city. And that's what today we'll kind of talk about. I've had the privilege of working with Captain Scott for 20 years through multiple different levels of the organization, on shifts together, you know, out there doing the good stuff and the fun stuff that you sign up for, all the way to now where, you know, I kind of describe myself as a carpet cop now. My feet stay on the carpet and, you know, kind of doing some of the things that maybe you don't think about when you think about police agencies, but that are very important to meeting those goals that I kind of talked about earlier. Through his career, he's always performed very highly at anything he's been in. He's always been a high achiever. He's had 21 commendations during his career. And if you know how that kind of works, we don't take that lightly. Anytime a community member or someone internally wants to commend someone, we make sure it gets documented, and that's a pretty good achievement to have 21 of those. He served in different capacities from our patrol division. He's been instrumental through the years in implementing things that our traffic unit does to try and reduce these crashes that you see out here, all the way up through leadership roles within the organization, to the point now where I really don't know what we would do without him. Through this last year, when you're looking at budgets and personnel and all those sort of things, when you have someone with the special talents that Shaun has, and you put him in the right position to be able to use those talents, you start hearing songs and hearing birds chirp, and you start seeing all these little things, and you're like, "Ooh, somebody's in the right spot." And that's kind of what we've had since he's been promoted to captain. He is our research and planning captain. So a lot of the things that we know we want to do, he does a lot of the legwork on the front end to make sure that we're in the right position to implement those things. He's been recognized recently through our organization. I'll give you this one and then call him up. But training police officers, again, you talk about standards. You talk about expectations, you talk about culture in your agency. That all begins with your training once they come back to us. And we recognize we had some shortfalls. So Captain Scott kind of led a team within the agency to revamp that program. And he was instrumental in making sure that we were going the right direction, and then picking software that our training officers could then go back and document the things that new officers were doing to make sure that we were hitting all the check marks and our culture was passed on and the expectations were passed on. And that is a big thing for us. If you think about your organizations, when you have someone new come in to get them to the level of that high performance, to do that, you have to teach them how. And that was something he did recently to go along with the numerous other things he's done throughout his career. But this year we want to recognize Captain Scott for this award. So Shaun, if you would come up. Look at that window. Yeah.
Yeah, the light. Watch your step right there. Yeah. Good stuff. Okay, congratulations. I'd like to call up now the Director of Emergency Services, David Metcalf. Substituting for. My pleasure.
Good afternoon. My name's Josh Cherry. I'm the Deputy Director, 911. 911 is a tough job. You don't know what you're going to hear when you answer the phone, from CPR to a barking dog. We have a young department. I've been here for about 15 years. We're going to give the award to Ashley Woods. She's been here about 2 years, and it takes about 6 months to get trained. She's done it in 4 months. She's moved her way up to a senior telecommunicator. If you need a professional, calm voice, that's what she's there to do. 12 hours sitting there, listening to people's problems. She does it every day, doesn't call out. She does a great job, and we appreciate y'all inviting us this year because we want to be a part of it. And Ashley's there to help. She wants to make a career, and I hope she moves up further in our department. And Ashley, we want to give you this award. And thanks for your hard work.
Thank you.
We're going to do the plate over there.
Did I give you the wrong one, Shawn? Sorry. Yeah, he always, he just came up and said you gave the wrong plaque. Had 5 things to do. That's classic. Oh, that's great. All right. Congratulations, Ashley. All right, now we'd like to bring up one of our own, Dalton's Fire Department, Todd Pangle. Yes, sir.
Well, good afternoon. If y'all didn't hear what I said, policemen's always want to be firefighters, so that's why they picked up our order. I mean, go figure. But I do want to echo everything that's been said up here as far as our club. I appreciate the club taking the opportunity every year to recognize our first responders and the work that they do, and just the dedication that our guys put in. And I know that I speak for our organization, but every organization here, those that we present to you, they've truly earned it. And the one that I have today truly earned it. Now, we took a little bit of a different turn this year in how we're going to select our firefighter of the year. My wife wants a swimming pool, so I had the highest bidder gets to be firefighter of the year. Just kidding. Thought we'd give a little bit there, but today, it brings me great joy to present to you Firefighter Michael Sams. And I'm not like the previous speakers. I can't get up here and not read something because I forget everything, especially with somebody with a resume such as Michael's. But Michael has been a member of our department since January 2017. And during his time with the department, he has definitely proven to be a valuable asset to our organization through his tireless work ethic and drive to become a better firefighter and a better contributor to our organization. Prior to joining the Dalton Fire Department in 2017, Firefighter Sams was employed as a firefighter with Hall County Fire Services, where he began his firefighter career in February of 2005. Let me tell you a little bit about his career at Hall County and what he brought to us. While at Hall County, Firefighter Sams amassed an impressive resume. He came to us with the following certifications. He was a Georgia and a Tennessee licensed paramedic. He was Pro Board Firefighter 1 and Firefighter 2, which is an accomplishment in itself. Hazmat technician, confined space rescue technician, trench rescue technician, structural collapse rescue technician, which are all very in-depth courses and in-depth certifications. He is also a fire instructor 1, and he will have to tell you, I got this off of his resume, he is an ERDI diver 1 and 2. For those that don't know, Hall County has a dive team because of their proximity to Lake Lanier, I believe it is. And he was a supervisor on their dive team. And he is also a graduate of Dalton High School. How he bypassed Dalton Fire Department yet, I think that's Bruce Satterfield's fault. I don't know, Chief Satterfield. But he was a graduate of Dalton High School, and he obtained a Bachelor of Science degree from North Georgia College. Now let's get to Dalton Fire Department since he's been here. Again, he has proven himself to be well-rounded in all aspects of our profession. He definitely has a passion for the fire service, which has led him to love everything related to our profession. And I have also received multiple recognitions from his officers. We have a good recognition form that is turned in when somebody does something good. Too many to name that's in his file, but I do have multiple recognitions that where his efforts have gone above and beyond in his service to Dalton Fire Department and the citizens of which we serve. He has continued while being at Dalton Fire Department to expand his knowledge in an effort to better serve those citizens. The following is a list of just some of his accomplishments since joining our fire department. Since joining, he has become a rope rescue program coordinator for our department. He has completed the Society of Professional Rope Access Technicians Level 1. And by the way, typically we pay for all of their certifications, all of their classes. Michael went above and beyond. This is a certification that we do not require. It is actually an industrial certification, if I'm speaking correctly, Mike. But he chose to do this on his own, unbeknownst to us. And that just shows his level of dedication to this community. He is also a National Association of EMS Level 1 educator. Class 5 representative. This is where our guys go out to the 5th graders and teach fire safety. The 5th graders then in turn teach 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and so on and so forth. We typically reach around 10 to 15,000 students annually through this program, and he volunteered to be one of the representatives for our department. He is also a GSAR, Georgia Search and Rescue member, and he is a recruit school instructor and swiftwater and floodwater rescue technician. And because of his experience in Swiftwater, he was able to participate in a mutual aid event where Gordon County called upon us to come. They had a car that was stuck in flooded waters, and our guys went down, and Mike actually, as a firefighter, actually led the team in that effort. We successfully was able to rescue a gentleman from those flood waters. He also recently received a unit citation for assisting PD in an incident where our guys took it upon themselves to step in and assist our brothers in blue. And I think that's enough said about Mike with his certifications, and there's many more things to mention to him. He also was deployed to Noonan, Georgia for the most recent tornado response that was down there as a member of GSAR. And then an honor that comes is very hard to earn. His officers and his peers have all stated that since in his short time at Dalton Fire Department, he has become an informal leader and a mentor among all ranks within our department. And I think that speaks to the professionalism and knowledge that Mike brings to us. Firefighter Sams definitely sets an example for all others to follow, and he's eager to help others and to become better within our chosen profession. And for all these reasons and many more, I do want to mention, if nobody knows, we had a great opportunity to help in the vaccine effort in our community. And because of our efforts with Councilmember Harlan and Whitfield County Health Department, as well as we become a provider ourselves, we were able to vaccinate almost 20,000 people through all of that effort. Thank you. In speaking specifically to Firefighter Sams, he vaccinated a lot of those people. He stepped up, was there almost every time, every drive-in we had, he was there countless hours and everything. And that just goes to show his commitment to our community. And for all these reasons, it brings me pleasure to present to you today, Firefighter Sams.
Yeah.
All right, congratulations. Thanks, Todd. We are going to call up our last speaker, and that's Whitfield County Fire Department, Ed O'Brien, for your nominee. I should say chief, right?
Yes.
Yeah, chief.
Thank you. Appreciate you being asking us to honor one of our personnel today, and it really does mean a lot as chief to have someone in it. The theme I've seen tonight or this afternoon, it looks like is a lot of long-term dedicated employees, and it's interesting. None of us, I didn't spoke to any of these other departments, but we did the same type of thing. We went with a long-term employee. His name's Shawn Damon. He's one of our lieutenants. He'd been a volunteer with the department for 8 years and has actually been full-time for 24. So he's got 32 years of service for our community here. A couple items when I worked with our command staff, our operations personnel, which are the ones that are on the street each and every day, is they wanted to look at it. We know in our 113 people that we all have good events daily that take place, but they wanted to look for something a little more solid. And Shawn Damon, he had actually 20 years ago went and took a public education class at the State Training Center and wanted to bring that information back to help educate the children of our community. Every year since then, and it's 20 years worth, he has helped put a program together. It's called the Clown Posse. Hopefully some of you have seen that in the newspaper. And he is actually Kiki, is what he's known as, is the clown. He's the lead clown. So I can truly say I have a clown working for me and a whole gang of them. We actually got a bus for him too. Each year this program is given. Unfortunately, last year we couldn't do it, but we sat down as a group and did some math. In the 20 years that this has been out there, it has been viewed by over 40,000 children. And these children are our kids, our grandkids, the leaders of tomorrow. And we wanted to make sure that the person we gave this to was someone that wants to make sure that information and leadership, which like this group promotes, is there each and every day. And our nomination is Lieutenant Shawn Damon for his hard work and 20 years service to the Clown Posse of this county. Lieutenant.
Watch your second. We'll do one later.
Yeah, I was a little worried if he was going to dress up as a clown.
What's that? I'll turn it over to Ricky for final thoughts.
Just like Chief O'Brien said just a minute ago, the overwhelming theme of this meeting is that lone, consistent person that's just, think of when you burning wood, you get the backlog, and that's what it seems like we have those backlogs where it's always burning. You'll put the candle on to keep it flaming up, but you always have that backlog that would it's there, and that's the consistency of the people that we have here today, and it's a good theme, good theme for over the 2020 year and 2021, 20 years, because it's we need those type of people, especially in a pandemic when folks are not showing up for things. They're not coming to work. They're staying at home. They're afraid. And each one of the departments here had that person, and we're recognizing them today. So thank you everyone for that. And I think we need to give everyone, all the first responders, a standing ovation. Thank you all for all what you do. Thank you for representatives being here, and thank you for the family members that are here to support your loved ones. I know it's important to have that support of loved ones. But Our next meeting will be on June the 29th. We'll have Big Brother and Big Sister, and I know the meeting that everybody in Rotary's been looking for. It'll be my last meeting, so as president. But we'll end with the Pledge of Allegiance and the four-way test. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Peace, to the truth, is fair to all concerned, will it be good to all better friendships, will it be beneficial to all concerned. Hope to see everyone June 29th.